Let's get into Smackdown. I got a real problem with this Evolution card, how it was put together. And look, I'm not a super fan of the women's wrestling idea, but if you're going to do something, you should do it correct, right? But let's get into this thing. For starters, this show was mostly taped on Monday due to the 4th of July holiday. Happy 4th of July. Those of you who are in the United States, God bless America. You'll probably hear fireworks popping in the background of probably my next 2 or 3 videos. Who knows? But try to ignore it if you can. Anyway, I can't do anything about it. It's way too hot for me to close the windows and everything. It's just too much, okay? You just got to deal with it. You got to push through it, power through it. Okay, so we start the show with Solo getting jumped in his car by Jacob Fatu. And it's crazy to punch a guy through the window. He don't even roll the window up. Anyway, they get into a fight. Nick Aldis gives Jacob Fatu a match with the new bloodline. But he has to pick a partner. He doesn't really have to look too far because Jimmy Uso's just hanging around him, just lingering behind him the entire time. So it's Jacob Fatu and Jimmy Uso versus 2 members of Solo's bloodline. Solo then announces that they're not a bloodline. They're the MFTs. My Family Tree. And he introduced us to Tala Tonga. Oh, Lord have mercy. That's Hikuleo's new name. Tala Tonga. Boy, have mercy, Jesus. And they're all together now. And then he says that him and JC Mateo are going to handle tonight's tag team match. And then a night of tag team matches, because there's tag team matches all night long. JC Mateo and Solo Sikoa lost to Jacob Fatu and Jimmy Uso. After the match, Jacob Fatu and Jimmy were beat up by the MFTs, and Jacob was powerbombed through a table. But the MFTs are not off to a good start, are they? They get their name, Solo got a belt, and they lose their very first match. I have never seen a stable booked so poorly. This is they're built like Raven's flock. That's how they're being booked. This is pathetic. Clearly we're going back to this eventually. I don't really care anymore. Look, the bloodline stuff of course has run its course. They're trying to pivot to something different with Solo having his own little family, which I don't mind that, but they need to get some wins. Like, these guys have been looking like losers for a year. But Tonga Loa is a jabroni. JC Mateo just got there and he's already losing. Tonga Loa, I don't know. I mean, not Tonga Loa, but Tama Tonga. I don't know where he is, but he was losing too. All these guys are losers. But that's what the people want. People want to see Jacob win. So, Jacob won. There's that. So, Cody Rhodes comes out, crown in hand. These guys look so much goofier carrying the crown around than they do if they actually wore it. You know, if you actually wore like a cool suit or something like that with the crown on, you might actually look cool. But carrying it around in your hand makes you look really goofy. Like you're making proclamations or something. Anyway, he says the crown represents where they've been and where they're going. Then it was interrupted by Randy Orton, who admitted that he hesitated and Cody didn't. So he respects Cody, but he wants a promise that Cody's going to beat John Cena. This was all interrupted by Drew McIntyre, who talked about beta male energy taking over WWE and then likened them to a couple who won't stop talking on the phone. That, no, you hang up first. No, you hang up first. That was very offensive. He earned that RKO just for that. And then he says he wants Cody Rhodes to be the champion because he wants to fight him for the belt. And so they have a similar history, similar career trajectory. And that is true. There's a great story there between Drew McIntyre and Cody Rhodes because they had almost exactly the same career. The difference being is that Vince actually liked Drew. He didn't like Cody at all. So Drew McIntyre starts talking about beating Cody for the belt, and Randy Orton gave him an RKO. Then it was announced later that Drew McIntyre will be wrestling Randy Orton at Saturday Night's main event. That's a very solid contest. This might be their first match since they feuded in 2020. I don't think they've had a match since they feuded in 2020. Remember when they feuded over the title and Randy actually won his last world title at that time? That could be something interesting. I wonder if this is going to be a long-term thing or is this just a stopgap? And also, it's kind of weird because I think Randy Orton should probably lose this match. And him losing 2 big singles matches in a row doesn't sit well with my spirit, but it's probably necessary. You know, because Drew just can't keep losing, you know. They talked about Drew being out for a month after getting hit with a concerto at Saturday Night's Main Event last time. And I've already forgotten who he was feuding with. Oh, it was Damian Priest. I was about to say, my God, I forgot already. Anyway, so Cody, Drew, they're teasing that. All right. I would have preferred for Drew McIntyre to be one of John Cena's final opponents. But they had to turn him heel. So they did that. So Charlotte Flair wants Tiffany Stratton to choose her for a match at Evolution. Nick Aldis says that's not happening. He already knows who Tiffany is going to pick, and it's not going to be her. And he's given Charlotte an opportunity at Evolution to wrestle for the tag team championships in that fatal 4-way thing that they're going to throw together. And Charlotte's like, tag team? And then there's Alexa Bliss. Charlotte says she doesn't like to share the spotlight. And Alexa Bliss says that they're not friends. They don't want to be friends. But if you want goals, we need to work together. I don't understand why Alexa Bliss is pushing so hard for this if she doesn't want to be Charlotte's friend. Anyway, Charlotte Flair versus Piper Niven and Alba Fire versus B-Fab and Mia Yim. The winner actually gets the Smackdown spot in the fatal 4-way match for the women's tag team titles at Evolution. Oh, that's a whole lot of stuff happening. So Charlotte and Alexa Bliss actually win, obviously, by working together. Charlotte gives Alexa Bliss a really big hug after the fact, and that's that. Nobody ever thought that B-Fab and Mia Yim had a chance. I mean, why would you? This Evolution card feels like it's just completely thrown together. And since I'm on the subject of Evolution, let's talk about the Women's Championship. Tiffany Stratton was interrupted by Jade Cargill, who says she doesn't care who the champion is going to be. She's going to win the title anyway. And Tiffany Stratton actually offers the match to Trish Stratus, who was her tag team partner earlier this year. Trish said that her children got to see her wrestle for the first time at Elimination Chamber. I think that's what that show was. And now her children are going to get a chance to see her win the championship. Tiffany says, oh, it's not going to be easy. And it's Tiffy time, and she's going to beat, whoever, whatever. So then Jade Cargill runs into Trish Stratus backstage and says that she hopes that she gets an opportunity to wrestle Trish at SummerSlam and, yada, yada, yada. And then she's attacked from behind by Naomi. So at this point, she's laying in a heap on the ground. Naomi is cackling as she walks away. Nick Aldis finds Jade Cargill laying there on the ground, and Jade Cargill wants to fight Naomi, and so the match is made for Evolution, Naomi versus Jade Cargill. Now I'm hearing that this match is no holds barred, which it actually negated one of my arguments, because I was going to say there's no way you've been building this thing all year and you don't give them a stipulation. So the stipulation is going to be no holds barred, which is well deserved. Probably should be a cage match or something like that, but you gotta take baby steps with Jade Cargill. Now let's first talk about this Tiffany Stratton Trish Stratus match. I love it on paper. I think setting up a storyline where Tiffany got to wrestle Charlotte, who is the best of the modern female wrestlers, and now she's going to wrestle one of the best of the past. Two women who all these women have been compared to each other in some degree. And that's a good situation for Tiffany. It really puts some weight behind her championship run, even though it's been extremely weak. But to wrestle Charlotte and Trish Stratus at big events is huge. To be quite honest, on paper, this could be a main event. I'm thinking they're probably going to put Io and Rhea on last, but this could easily be the main event. Now, there's a lot of people who are complaining because Trish Stratus has done nothing, and why is she getting this opportunity? And that's one of my complaints as well. is a lot of these matches on Evolution feel slapped together. There's no storyline reason for them to occur. Like Io Sky versus Rhea Ripley is literally because Io Sky challenged Rhea Ripley. There's no story attached to it at all. Tiffany Stratton versus Trish Stratus, same thing. It's just Tiffany Stratton challenged Trish Stratus. That's it. JC Jane versus Jordan Grace, at least there is some story there because Jordan Grace had to work for it. And there's some real meat on the bone for that story at the very least. And the winner of this match is actually going to wrestle at Slammiversary, TNA's pay-per-view, and it's going to be title for title. So the NXT champion and the Knockouts champion are going to fuse that belt. That's what it sounds like. And it's probably going to be Jordan Grace winning both belts. But I'm interested in this right here because it actually has impact outside of the WWE. Jade Cargill versus Naomi. This is the longest running storyline in the women's division. Perfectly fine. But then there's that fatal 4-way match, which is Raquel and Roxanne, Charlotte and Alexa, some NXT team and some Raw team. Just feels like people being slapped together. And then they have a battle royal. It doesn't say how many people are going to be in the battle royal, but it's a battle royal for the winner. Is going to wrestle at the Clash in Paris. 7 matches booked so far, which is a full card, believe it or not. This is an actual wrestling card, and that's a positive. But what's not positive is how shitty this thing has been put together. Again, all of these multiple man matches were battle royals and fatal 4-ways. Instead of building storylines and doing things that matter, they didn't even mention Nikki Bella anymore. Like, she got attacked by Liv Morgan, and there was no mention of Nikki Bella again. Funny how that worked out. So whatever it is she was going to do with Liv Morgan, there's no second option. So my guess is that the Bella Twins are going to end up being the Raw team, I'm going to guess. Or they're going to be some kind of legend team. And then, of course, there's going to do some TNA stuff involved with Evolution as well. There are some rumors floating around that they might put a Knockouts Championship match on the card, which I don't think they're going to do now. I think they're going to save the title for title match for Slammiversary. But they may put like Masha Slamovich in the Battle Royal. They may put Killer Kelly in the Battle Royal. They may put the Iconics in the Battle Royal. You know, just that kind of thing, right? So, but they did say there's going to be some TNA flavor on the Evolution show. And that's the Battle Royal seemed like the best place to put them. So it seems really ridiculous to me that one person gets injured and you throw like half your card in the garbage. Whatever you were going to do with Liv, you should just did it with somebody else. If it was going to be the women's tag team thing, you should just continued it with Raquel, or just replace Liv with Roxanne. But this Evolution card is very poorly built. It's shabbily built. You know, it's a mud hut of a card at this point. People are complaining about the promotion of the show. Look, they got Maybelline to sponsor the show, so they're looking to get more women's brands involved with sponsoring this show. They only got one so far. I'm pretty sure there might be more. Why don't they reach out to Rihanna or Beyonce or somebody like that to Savage's Fenty Battle Royal. Victoria's Secret Fatal 4-Way match. I don't know, man. They dead set on doing this thing, and I'm not going to deter them from it. But they could at least put some effort in. The idea that the champions get to challenge their own opponents is goofy as hell. And it asks the question, like, why wouldn't Io challenge some kind of legend? And of course, there's also the discussion about Trish Stratus being the only legend that they use. Why don't they use any of the Divas era legends? Why not Michelle McCool? You know, or why not Layla L? Why not Candice Michelle? Why not Kelly Kelly? Because most people can't wrestle, right? And Lita is shot to shit. She can't wrestle. And if you're older than Trish or Lita, there's no point in you even wrestling, right? But there's also the Battle Royal where you could put a lot of the older women in there so they can't hurt themselves or hurt anyone else. So if Ivory or Molly Holly wants to get involved, put them in the Battle Royal. They don't need to wrestle a match. But I think at least the top matches should have had storyline attached to it. But they don't. They're just basically the champion's choice, which is stupid. It's a stupid concept, but they're being very lazy when it comes to this Evolution show, so I'm not going to complain about it too much more. Especially when you consider how the rest of the show, the other parts of the show is put together. Because as of right now, there's no Women's Intercontinental Championship match. And there's no Women's United States Championship match on the show either. So, but I'm pretty sure Becky Lynch is getting on that card, if that's going to happen. But Julia, who they did a vignette for, she's calling herself the Blue Flame, the heat of the beautiful madness. She's not going to be featured on the show, and she didn't wrestle tonight. I don't know what they're doing. They're not doing a good job with Julia. They're really not. But at least she's not in the closet yet. Stephanie Becker has gone missing. I know she did a lot of work in early June when she worked like Worlds Collide, Smackdown, and whatever, Money in the Bank. But she's been gone since Money in the Bank. She ain't showed up since. That was at least 3 weeks ago. So, I don't know. You could put storyline on things, or you could just have champions challenge guys, and you could do stupid tournaments, but this is what they're choosing to do. Let's go into the rest of the shitty SmackDown. The tag team division is always arguing with each other. They're arguing with each other again. Nick Aldis gives Fraxium a match with Andrade and Rey Fenix, but the rest of the teams will donate one person from each team to fight the Wyatt Six, which sounds absolutely goofy, and it was even goofier to see it. It was Johnny Gargano, Chris Sabin, Montez Ford, and Humberto Carrillo versus the Wyatt Six. And of course, Johnny Gargano, being the heel, abandoned his team, and the Wyatts won when I believe they pinned Chris Sabin. I don't remember which one pinned. It doesn't matter. So the Wyatt Six are going to get a tag team championship match, not at Saturday night's main event, because that's too much like a PLE, and the Street Profits are not allowed on PLEs. They're not allowed on anything special. No Saturday night's main events, no pay-per-views, nothing. Has to be on SmackDown. But they're wrestling the Wyatt Six again, and I don't really want to see that. I didn't want to see this, and I didn't watch this really. I'm not into the Wyatt Six thing. I'm not into the cover band idea. I've been shitting on this since it started. I'm still not happy with it. Still not happy with it. Don't like it. Don't like it at all. Afraid to say. I'm not afraid to say it, actually. I don't like it. But Nathan Frazier and Axiom versus Andrade and Rey Fenix, I did like that. I liked that. This match was good. It was babyface versus babyface, but they all worked very well together. It was a style that benefits Andrade and Phoenix. Phoenix didn't fuck anything up. He looked solid here. Andrade and Phoenix as a tag team actually kind of rules. And I kind of like them as a team. This is good. Now, Fraxium, of course, was getting a huge push initially, and then that push just stopped, and then they disappeared for weeks. And now they're losing, but whatever. I like the idea of Andrade and Phoenix. SmackDown is trying with the tag team division, but they refuse to have multiple storylines. Every division seems to only have really one storyline, and that's it. And if you're not in that storyline, you are on the outskirts of anything that is occurring, and then you're barely on TV. So I did like this match, and this was the one match on the show that I enjoyed watching. There was one more segment. Damian Priest and Aleister Black, they had an issue and they're fighting over R-Truth. I don't know. Damian Priest is like R-Truth's caretaker, I guess. And him and Aleister Black are having words. Black is going to wrestle R-Truth next week on SmackDown. Okay. With Damian Priest, again, I said it in the Discord. I like Damian Priest a lot more when he was in NXT. Man, he was special in NXT. Ever since he got, I don't know, it wasn't immediately the call up. I think ever since they put him in the Judgment Day, he's been putting weave in his hair. He stopped going to the gym. He's a completely different person. Somebody says he's like purple Baron Corbin, and it's true. He's getting very Baron Corbin-like, and it's very frustrating because I like this guy. I was watching an NXT show. I think it was NXT 31, Takeover 31. He wrestled Johnny Gargano. And Damian Priest was really good in that match. And he looked great. He had a great character, great gimmick, nice charisma. When you see him on the regular show, you're like, my God, where's that guy? That guy is gone. I know 4 years didn't pass, but damn. Sheesh. Where's Damian Priest? Anyway, there's that. So Smackdown was shit, of course. It was taped, so there was nothing special that was going to occur. There was some stuff that I guess you could talk about, some ancillary news and notes kind of gimmicks. For starters, Cody Rhodes is going to play Guile in the Street Fighter movie. Roman Reigns was signed on to play Akuma from the Street Fighter movie. And this got a lot of people talking about how terrible the Street Fighter movie is going to be because so many pro wrestlers are going to be in it and 50 Cent's going to play Balrog. This movie's going to suck. Well, let me educate you on something. There has not been a live action Street Fighter movie that has been any good. They all sucked. So what they're trying to do at this point is get people to come see the movie even if it's bad. Look, Cody as Guile could be worse. It could be worse. I'm just wondering if they're going to put that brush head thing on him. Look, you really don't need to alter Cody's look too much. Just put him in like a Marine gear and give him like an American flag tattoo. You don't have to do too much to him. But if you want him to be character accurate, he's going to have to wear a wig. And that's when it's going to look bad. It's going to look very bad. Once you put that push broom wig on him, it's going to look like shit, brother. Roman as Akuma could be fun, though. I mean, Roman's jacked to the gills. He doesn't look too bad with his hair tied up. As long as they don't color it. Like, if you color it red or something like that, he's going to look like a goddamn fool. But if you just put his hair like in a top knot or something like that and put a gi on him, he'll look cool. He'll be fine in terms of being Akuma. It wouldn't be a problem. Now, book the 50 Cent as Balrog. That's going to be humorous. That's going to be humorous. I can't wait to see this Street Fighter movie, dog. Every live action Street Fighter movie, and there's been 3 of them, I think, so far. They've all been extremely bad. Extremely bad. On the other hand, all the Street Fighter animated movies are good. So if you have a Street Fighter itch, watch the animated movies. But I want to see this thing, because I got to see Cody as Guile. I got to see it. M. Bison, you killed my friend. Bison, I'm going to get you. I'm going to chase you to the ends of the earth. I can't wait. Can't wait for him to lisp all the way through this thing. I cannot wait for it. It's going to be amazing. This one's for Charlie. This one's for Charlie. Sonic Boom. Can't wait. Can't wait. Oh my God, it's going to be hilarious. Now, there was also some talk about Jelly Roll. People have been very upset about Jelly Roll because apparently he's going to be featured on WWE TV for SummerSlam or something like that. And everybody's like, they're going to put a storyline for Jelly Roll? We won't know what's going to happen until they do it, But it's WWE, so they're probably going to do it. Is he going to wrestle? That's going to be my question. Or is he going to because he's a very big man. And I don't want to trust him in the ring because he's a big dude. And he looks like he has not worked out a lot. And I'm just concerned about his knees, his ankles, his back. He might, if he can come in and do like 2 spots, okay. But if he's going to try to wrestle for real, I'm very concerned that he's going to have a real bad sports injury right after this. But everybody who's upset about this is like, man, this is WWE. Of course they're trying to get celebrities involved. I don't know a goddamn thing about Jelly Roll, but I'm not the target audience for this goddamn thing, right? So there's probably people out there who know this guy, especially in Middle America and in the South, who want to see Jelly Roll get beat up. So they're going to take a risk on it. I'm not going to complain until they actually do it. When they do it, then I'll see whether I like it or not. Because it might be something with Logan Paul where, they do celebrity shit with him. I don't know. But everybody complaining before they even do it. Let's let them do it first. And then we can complain about it. Because we don't know what they're going to do. I have no idea. Now, speaking of things being done, this is the one thing I'm going to close on because I thought it was silly. I think a week or so ago, Tiffany Stratton, after she beat Nia Jax, I think it was. Or it might have been the week before she beat Nia Jax. A fan told her to keep the belt warm. And Tiffany Stratton said, "Watch your mouth, boy. I'm keeping this championship forever." And this led to all the discussion about Tiffany Stratton being an unmitigated racist because, like Michael Evans said, boy is a white racist word. And it just goes to show that they could turn a glass of water into racism if they wanted to. People don't like her because they think she's a Trump supporter, which doesn't matter anyway. But that's enough for everything she says and does to be accused of racism. And this is becoming a plague for this woman, you know. Every time she posts something on social media, it's taken in the worst possible way. Her words are being twisted. The context of things are being twisted. Remember, she posted this video of her knocking Jade Cargill off of the ring apron. It was like a caption said "black bitch" or something like that, and it was, oh, that's racism. It's like, why is everything got to be racism, bro? Like, and why are black people so fragile? Like, get over this kind of shit. Nobody cares about this stuff at all. They're reaching, I mean, complete Stretch Armstrong, Mr. Fantastic type shit. And it's usually young people who are doing this, who are, everything is racism. I don't like her personally, so I'm going to attack her professionally and try to ruin her name and ruin her career. It's relationship savaging. A lot of it is very young women, too. It's embarrassing. You need to actually act like black people have honor and integrity and that black people have a spine, you know? Nobody's crying about this thing. Nobody cares about this. If she'd have dropped the N-bomb, that would have been completely different. But calling a man a boy, it's like, so what? So what? Well, but in the context of American history, she wasn't talking about it in the context of American history, right? She wasn't some Southern belle trying to demean a fan. She wasn't even saying it to demean the fan. She was saying it to mock the fan and dismiss him, not to belittle him in any way. But again, there's people who want to destroy her. They want to tear her down. She has a bad match. They're doing the same thing to Nikita Lyons, right? Again, I said it once. Nikita Lyons made one mistake. She bumped the wrong way on a neck breaker. And everybody's claiming she should be fired. Meanwhile, there was Kenny Omega who couldn't even do a power bomb. And he's a main event guy who was said to be a top draw and all this kind of stuff. It's like, people make mistakes. You need to stop trying to destroy people. And that's the age of social media. Not necessarily something Tiffany did wrong, but being a wrestler in the age of social media basically means that your entire career is being looked at under a microscope. Everything you say and everything you do are being critiqued to such a degree that it's suffocating. They want her to be something so bad that they're reaching. They're going to twist reality. And the first thing people will do for their ideology is lie. It's the first thing they'll do is sacrifice their integrity. If she was a racist, trust me, you'll just find out. You don't have to try to, put puzzle pieces together that don't fit. Just, if you think she's a racist, take your time. It'll come out. Stop trying to find racism under every nook and cranny and in a box of Lucky Charms and all that. No, just enough. Save yourself the stress and the struggle. And that's really what it is people are stressing themselves out about this whole thing. She turns her goddamn computer off and don't have to worry about this shit because nobody else taking it seriously. But everybody's on the line and people, wrestling journalists, writing articles about it. Like, this is goofy. You're just looking for clickbait. Not even thinking about how spreading all this negativity is going to affect this young woman's career. And she's a very young woman. And she's going to make mistakes. And she's going to say things she shouldn't. And she's going to be bad at her job sometimes. That's just part of the growing pains. But trust me, if she's a racist, she's not going to try to hold it in. It's going to come out. You're going to hear more about it legitimately. You won't have to make shit up. All right, so that's SmackDown and ancillary notes. I'm sorry for all the fireworks in the background, but it can't be helped. Hopefully you guys had fun on 4th of July. Hope you had some hamburgers and ribs and all that kind of stuff. I had chicken, and I didn't make any sides, so I just had chicken. And thank you guys later, and I'll talk to you folks later. Peace out, and happy birthday, America.
Old non-aggression. Once that lesson sets in, you'll see a session where you got an affection for no progression, regression. The best don't